Welcome to the second part of 2.8, the story problems with inequality. So we're just going to go through these, get them done, and then I'll post a Module 7 review packet online, and then I'll make some videos for that and post those just to give you an idea what's going on. So looking at this first one here, one side of a triangle is 2 centimeters shorter than its base. The other side is 3 centimeters longer than its base. What lengths of the base will allow the perimeter to be greater than 19 centimeters? Well, right now, because it says triangle, I'm going to draw a triangle, and I'll call this B, the base, because we're measuring things relative to the base. Notice, once again, one side of the triangle is 2 centimeters shorter than the base. So let's say it's this side over here, 2 centimeters less than the base. That's going to be B minus 2. Okay? The other side is 3 centimeters longer than the base. So this will be the third one. So it's going to be B plus 3. Okay? So, it says what length of the base will allow the perimeter to be greater than 19 centimeters. So we want the perimeter to be greater than 19 centimeters. Now, the perimeter of this triangle up here is the sum of the side lengths. So if we have this bottom one, that's B plus this one, B minus 2, plus the third leg, B plus 3. This is the perimeter of this triangle right here. So we can write that for the perimeter right there. And say really we have B plus B minus 2 plus B plus 3 has to be greater than 19. So once again, we want to combine, like, we'll come up here, we want to combine like terms. 1B, 2B, 3B's. 3B. Negative 2 plus 3 is plus 1 is greater than 19. Now we're trying to isolate our B, so we need to get rid of this 1. So here we want to subtract 1. Doing it to both sides. And we're subtracting, so we don't need to flip the sign or do anything like that. We just get cancellation here, so we get 3B is greater than here. 19 minus 1 is 18. And then finally divide both sides by 3. And we get B is greater than 6. So, in order for the perimeter to be greater than 19, the base must exceed 6 centimeters. So that's that one right there. Okay, so next one here. It says the width of a rectangle is fixed at 16 yards. For what lengths will the area be at least 264 square yards? So as soon as we have a rectangle, I'm going to draw a rectangle. Now it says it has a fixed width. So I'm going to say this is the width and this is the length. So the width is fixed at 16 yards. So that dimension right here is 16 yards. For what lengths will the area be at least 264 yards? So we want the area to be at least 264 yards. So the area here, A equals length times width. Well, we don't know what the length is, so we're defining that to be L. We know the width is 16, so the area is 16 times L, or 16L. So we can plug that in. 16L is greater than or equal to 264. Okay, so here solving for L, divide by 16, and 264 divided by 16, 16 and a half. So L is greater than or equal to 16.5. So the length must be at least 16.5 yards. And that's what we're doing there. Okay, that's it. So this next problem, and I remember this from terms past, is a little bit convoluted and hard to think about. So we're going to take it slow and see if we can figure out what's going on with this. Now, it says in order for a food to be labeled reduced fat, it must have at least 25% less fat than the regular item. One brand of reduced fat peanut butter contains 12 grams of fat per serving. What can we conclude about the fat content in the serving of the brand's regular peanut butter. Now here's the thing. We know that for something to be reduced fat, it must contain at least 25% less fat than the regular item. So here's the thing. It's just like if you have a 25% off sale, you're paying for 75% of the item. So another way of saying this, having less than 25% of the original item, that is the original, it must have less than 75% of the fat of the original item. So 0.75 original, that must be greater than, at least, or equal to the reduced fat version. So 25% less is going to be 75% of the original. So the reduced fat has to have less than 75% of the original fat. So that's how we can write this out, and realistically that's about the easiest way to think about the problem. So they go on to say one brand of reduced fat peanut butter contains 12 grams of fat per serving. So they're giving us the amount of fat in the reduced fat. What can we conclude about the fat in the original one? Well, plug this in. The reduced fat has 12, so 0.75 of, we'll call the original, and it's peanut butter, so we'll call it PB. So 0.75 PB is greater than or equal to 12. Divide this by 0.75. And we get that the original peanut butter has to have at least 16 grams of fat per serving. So regular must have at least 16 grams of fat per serving. So that one's kind of tricky. Just think about it. It really has to do with, they give you 25% less, but if we take 25% off of something, we are still having 75% of that item, and that's really, that's how you do that problem. So let's look at this last one, wrap it up. This is a lot like the blueprint copies problem we have on the other one, where there's a fixed amount and a variable amount. Now it says, the problem says, a 3-pound puppy is gaining weight at a rate of 3/4 pound per week. When will the puppy's weight exceed 22.5 pounds? Now, we're saying, when's the puppy's weight exceed 22 pounds? So puppy weight. When will exceed? Exceeding is being greater than 22.5. I'm just going to write this as the decimal, 22.5. So I'm going to work with decimals because we can, because 1/2 is a nice decimal and 3/4 is a nice decimal. Now, the puppy's weight is going to be 3 pounds. The puppy's 3 pounds currently, so there's 3 plus 3/4 pound per week. So let W equal number of weeks. So 3/4 is 0.75 W. So after the first week, it gains 3/4. Second week would be 2 times that 3/4, so that's where our variable comes in. So this is the amount the puppy weighs now. This is the amount it's gaining per week. We're trying to find when that's going to exceed 22.5. So now it's time to solve this for W. Subtract 3 from both sides. Okay. So on the left side, we're going to get cancellation of these 3's. So we get 0.75 W is greater than 22.5 minus 3 is going to be 19.5. So our 19.5. So now we want to get the W alone, so divide by 0.75. These cancel, and we get W is greater than 19.5 divided by 0.75 equals 26. So, what does this really mean? Well, think about the question that's asking, when will the puppy's weight exceed 22.5 pounds? After 26 weeks, the puppy will exceed 22.5 pounds. So, a little bit, over a half a year. So that's how you do those problems. See you for the review.